everyone, and welcome to Coffee with Carrie in this wonderful winter wonderland that we've created here in our studio. And I do want to remind you that if you're available on Thursday, we are having an open house here at the studio. Coffees and cookies. Our cookies and coffees is what we're calling it. And we are doing an orientation at 3 o'clock. If you'd like to do a podcast or a show in the studio, that's one of our requirements that you need to attend. So that's at 3 o'clock, 3 to 3:30. And then at 3:30, we'll have networking and community producers and open the doors to whomever wants to come. So I hope you can make it. And you, if you could RSVP for us at, I think he's going to put it up on the screen there. That's right. Jay Guzman at bloomfieldtwp.org. And this is the show where we talk about, we talk to people who are making Bloomfield Township a wonderful place to live and to work. And today I'm delighted to have our supervisor, Dani Walsh. Welcome, Dani.
Hi, Carrie. Thank you.
Yes.
And can I just say, you have truly breathed new life into this department. I love all the events you're doing, all the things, your amazing team. It's just great to see.
Well,
so thank you.
Well, it's been really, really my pleasure to do so. And there's so many wonderful stories here in the township and with our other community partners that, it's like an endless opportunity for good news, I think, most of the time. I mean, we have to share other stories for transparency in government, which is one of our tenets as far as PEG station. But, most of the time, I will say that I think the stories we get to tell are really fun and sharing stories from our colleagues and everything. So tell me a little bit about what have been some of the highlights from 2023 as we wrap up this year.
2023 has been, like you said, there's good, there's bad, there's everything. We have been really blessed to bring back a lot of the public services that we had cut in other years. So we've expanded public safety, both with police and fire. The hardest part is recruiting, which you and your team have been amazing on that. Some other things that we'll just throw out there that you'll be seeing is some changes in requirements to make us more similar to others. There's a few of us that still have some old requirements that are limiting our ability to hire. But we're bringing in more firefighters, more police, and that is something that was lacking. We've also been able to expand services in cable and communications, in our IT, to bring in better opportunities for everything from building and planning to assessing to how you pay your taxes. Basically, the technology that we were able to bring this year was huge. One of the most exciting things, before I even get to the most exciting thing that we brought back, the nerdy part of me as a strategic planner, we're bringing back that. We're bringing back forward thinking, like no longer just whack-a-mole. Let's see what's new in the township today. It's really thinking again forward of what do we see ourselves in 5 years? Where do we see ourselves in 10 years? So we're starting our strategic planning. We're going out to bid on that. And some of the other things that we're doing is document storage. Like we're going to get a handle on, we have 200 years of history.
And this is ARPA. These are ARPA funds that we're spending?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And thank goodness we have those available. So these are all those projects that if we had enough, we would have done it.
And remind me again, how much did we get as a township?
It was about 4.4 million, 4.3 million, which sounds like a lot until we did.
It goes quick.
And we did a study to see how much we needed, and projects were over 50 million. So then it was, okay, we can't afford the new fire station. We can't afford this. So instead, what could this make the impact on? So being able to do those kind of nerdy projects. But then the biggest thing, I'm a resident, born and raised 51 years, and bringing back open house. We don't have parks. We rely on places like Franklin and Birmingham to have parks, but that community feel that comes from an open house and just a chance to meet all the employees. It was so amazing. It was after a 5-year hiatus, we were able to bring that back.
Yeah. And I think, for me, being able to see so many kids and families, because a lot of what we do, we don't really, we're not with the schools all the time, and to see them on campus and being able to have them enjoy like the fire training and the different events that were going on. It was really fun.
And they put on, some of them were putting on the little outfits for their photos. That was so cute.
Yeah.
Little baby firefighters.
That's right.
And of course, dunking the chief was a highlight that day.
And you also had some personal achievement this year, I think.
I did. So during COVID, right about May of 2021, I decided to start a double master's program. because we assumed the shutdown would take a little longer, and then it opened back up in June. So the last 2 years until May of 23, I graduated from a double master's. MPA is a master's of public administration. So it's an MBA, but with a focus on the public sector, because everything's different, public versus private, whether it's financing or what you're allowed to do. So I now have that updated education because it's been a while since I've been to college. I'm a little older. And the other one is a master's of public policy. And that's to understand how to affect change, how to understand the policymakers, and actually looking at it more too on just not a local level, but a regional level. So getting more involved with SEMCOG.
So in addition to being a supervisor, like what do people with those degrees, what do they go off and do?
Well, MPA would be any business degree that you would need in the public sector. So even we have some people who are not just a supervisor, but directors of different ones. They do. But the biggest thing in the policy world is the other side of the politics that you don't see is the people creating Clean Water Acts, the people creating fragmity controls, the people creating surface streets and transportation. So it's the policies needed at the state and federal level to make us a better region.
And so how has that degree changed your way of thinking and being a supervisor?
It has absolutely changed my breadth of reach. It used to be Bloomfield Township was a little more secluded. It was, we are a gold standard. So if we're already doing it right, there can't be anything else better out there. But getting more involved in public policy and getting more involved with the groups around us. So SEMCOG is the Southeast Michigan Council of Governments, getting more involved with SMART, getting more involved with, we now have a corridor along Woodward from Detroit to Pontiac where we meet quarterly. They call it the mayors because I'm the only supervisor, and I told them they didn't have to change the name of the group. But we now speak on a holistic regional level, which is getting us more access. So as residents, we're having more access to better services faster than us just doing it ourselves. So the policy side helped me learn not only who to reach out to, but how better to speak to them to bring them to the table.
Okay. Well, good. Policies, this just doesn't sound very fun. But I know that that's part of that's the nerdiness, right?
Well, and they're doing the hard work that they're kind of behind the scenes. Those policymakers are the ones, and I don't mean legislative, I don't mean politicians. I mean the people like at GLEWA who work at GLEWA. One of our directors now works there.
What is GLEWA?
GLEWA is a Great Lakes Water Authority, and it's one of the largest water authorities in the United States, and that handles all of the clean drinking water that we use, which is why we don't have issues like what Flint had. So the people who work at GLEWA are the people in the policy making for clean water. They're doing all the hard work behind the scenes to make it possible for us to administer. So they make they create the policy ideas and they bring them to the legislators, create the actual policy. So they're doing all the hard work of getting things laid out there. So being a part of what they're doing and what they're bringing to the state gets our voice in there because we never were included before.
Okay.
Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about what is a typical day like for a supervisor.
There's never a typical day. That I can tell you, and my assistant Sue can tell you, it is never the same. Most days are filled. We used to have to, this is probably too much information, but we used to even schedule bathroom breaks, but it is filled to the brim, usually 2 weeks out. Because a lot of people don't realize how large Bloomfield Township is. It's essentially a corporation of $126 million with 300 employees. I oversee 11 of the 13 departments, so that's about 290 of the 300 employees. And I am responsible for actually creating the budget. So my budget season starts in August and goes all the way till March when we give a final approval. So that's my main statutory responsibility is creating the budget, bringing it to the board, having them help tweak what they like that I may have left out or what they didn't like, reaching out with public. We have study sessions where the public can input, and the public definitely reaches out all the time too, which helps a lot. We have constant emails and phone calls from residents. So you hear what's important to them, and that's how you put that in the budget. But that is a long process that Jason is our finance director. He's a part of from start to finish with me. So he stuck with me a lot from August till March. And then you get a few months off and then it starts all over again. So that's the biggest crux of the non-meeting days. So just constantly thinking, what could we add? What could we take away? And then in addition to that, it's going to constant meetings for within this department. Like actually before we had you, I called you my unicorn. We had a department that was and needed kind of a breath of fresh air. So we created the concept. I worked with our interim at the time was Greg Black. He has a wealth of knowledge. He's been here a long time, so he's kind of seen what works and doesn't work. He gave us a lot of ideas. You have Steve Rhoda, who's been here forever. He gave ideas and kind of planning off of what they thought was great and what was missing, and then reaching out to the communities. And we realized we needed a Carrie, and we needed a Jose and an Amy to round about that group of 5. But it's just, as a supervisor, you just create a framework for the real experts to come in and make it better. So even like IT right now, we're bringing in technology. So we may be helping with creating the framework, but Will is the expert. Like Carrie, Will would be the expert that takes it on. So I get to herd the experts, really.
Well, good. And I just want to remind our viewers that if you're watching, you can say hello or ask a question, and you can pop it in there and it would come up on our screen if there's anyone out there that would like to say hello. So what do we have to look forward to in 2024?
2024 right now, like you had mentioned, are all the ARPA projects. So in addition to the regular services, we're getting a chance to do these projects. One of the biggest ones that we're doing right now, in addition to the document management, we have 200 years worth of documents and we want to preserve them and be able to give access to the public. So that's one of the largest. That's going to take about a year. The strategic plan, which will involve the public, we're going to do a lot of focus groups. We're going to be having a lot of public meetings to say, where do they see us in 5 years? And another big one is we're starting to plan for the future of public safety. So our buildings are really outdated for public safety.
Oh wait, look, we have like a little note from our public safety people.
Aw,
they're saying hello.
Thank you. They do like that we are, that they are a focus, because they are, all of our departments are important, but somehow, especially the fire department, the fire station 3 got overlooked during the campus modifications. And I think the police have
Station 3, can you tell us where that is?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. That is over by the Maple Theater. So it's right by Maple and Telegraph.
It's such a cute little station, but it's like going back in time, right? It doesn't fit the current trucks that they need. It's not big enough.
Right. So we're still trying to keep it that neighborhood. You're right. It feels like a neighborhood fire station. It's the busiest. It is the busiest. They're all getting busier, but it is the busiest. And the biggest issue you pointed out was we can't fit some of the newer items. Also, it hasn't been fixed since the 70s. So when my dad passed about 20 years ago, that station was our lifeline. They were amazing, and it looked bad back then in the year 2001, and it hasn't gotten better. So one of our focus is, what is the new fire station of today to still look like a community fire station within a community? So that's a focus that we're working on with the fire. And then with the police, they're shoehorned into our town hall. And policing has changed, whether it's the simulators that they need so that they can practice better and be ready, or whether it's simply the way that records has changed. We used to have a large room for paper records. We don't need that now. Instead, we need bigger locker rooms for men and women, because women are a part of it now. So there's so much that has changed in policing, in the safety of how they have to keep their prisoners, that this building they've outgrown this building too. So we're reimagining, is it possible to remodel for them downstairs, or do we have to look at expanding out? So that's some of the big exciting items that, as a resident, I definitely want my public safety to have the best equipment, the best ability to come and respond. As a supervisor, I want my public safety to also be safe where they live. I also want them to have the best to protect themselves as well.
And 2024 is an election year. So I think that is there another, what is going to be on the ballot, do you think? Is
There's the presidential election?
Well, presidential, right? We know that's the big one. That's the one that gets everybody to turn out. But
we do have a
locally, the millage.
We do have a renewal millage that will be coming. We're discussing of what we've done in the past recently was combining millages. This wouldn't be a combine and asking for more. This would be a combination. because there's a millage due this year for the public safety, and then there's a millage due the year after. So we are working right now to see, are we going to combine those into one to get rid of the special election the following year in 25, which would save money for the public. And if we're not asking for an increase, then it's a way to save money and also narrow down how many times they have to come to the polls for one item.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Because we don't want to spend money on elections when we don't
Right.
have to, right?
Yeah, and this wouldn't be asking for more. It would be asking for the same, just in one.
Right. And I think that for the presidential, we're early this year, which is,
Yes,
I
in
think, very different,
February.
which is in February. So people have to be ready to vote. And I know that, now we have new drop boxes and mail-in voting for people that are maybe snowbirds and everything. But February is early for Michigan.
February is very early.
It's kind of exciting.
Yeah. The clerk's department has
Uh-huh.
been working really hard on this. Like you said, he's got 3 drop boxes in the area now. They also are going to be able to actually run through with the early voting. You can actually go and physically, if you don't want to drop it in a box at the library, you can go in advance and actually run it through the machine. So your vote is counted and it's there.
Where's that machine?
In the library.
Okay.
Yeah. And I believe we're still going to do it in the library again. We did just have to change precinct 2 and 9 last night at the board meeting because one of the churches is closing down. So we'll be finding a new one. And then another one is one of the schools is no longer able to house them. So we'll be new ones.
I don't know what Steve was talking about there. Yeah, Steve's like whispering to us. I don't know what he's talking about. What was I going to? There was something I was going to ask about, and I can't remember. So, what else do you have to tell us? What else is going on?
Basically, it's a great time in the township because, like these meetings, for example, yesterday, when we have issues in the past, sinkholes. I know, especially in the village right now, we're doing special assessments in the village. They're going to be getting some new roads. There are areas where there are sinkholes, and in the past, we didn't have the connections that we had with Road Commission for Oakland County, Water Resource Commission, all the others to get together. And the collaboration that has grown over the last couple of years. Yesterday, for 3 hours, we met in 2 separate meetings with Road Commission for Oakland County and Water Resource Commission and our team here with DTW. And there are about 12 different issues that have been out there for anywhere from 3 months to a year. And getting together at the table, being able to knock it out together and them willing to come here to do it is something that's exciting, and that's going to continue. So that's why people are starting to see some of these old issues that we as residents have been dealing with kind of getting cleaned up. That's one of the exciting things. And then in the next year, honestly, the strategic plan is I can't wait to hear from the public of what they think this township is.
I know what I wanted to ask you. I was going to ask what are the best ways to stay informed about what's going on in our local government? So I know that I'd like to remind people the e-news. We send it out once a week now, and that kind of it provides links to everything that's been going on, all of the trustee meetings that we record so that people can watch them if they want to. And
you give great updates. Like some of the things I love what you and your team have changed is it's not just an article anymore. It's an article, but it's also got video links. It's got suggestions. And it's not just about meetings. You're including community information that's just fun to know, important to know. Like I really like when you taught people about how to get rid of ashes, because we were having a lot of fires where people would just put the ashes in a
Well, they're just
cardboard
reminders.
box.
They're reminders for people that, maybe they think about doing one thing and then, maybe that's not the best idea. So,
So your team and you have evolved it into it's e-news about the township, which it's weekly, it's up to date, but then it's also some of the living in Bloomfield ones that you put in there. It's great. You've evolved it into something even better. So it's a great weekly resource.
Well, and as a PEG station, we're supposed to have transparency in government. So recording all of those trustee meetings and making them available, it's just an additional, I guess, perk so that we can people can see and listen to and hear exactly what's going on instead of just reading a transcript. And I think that you added some of those meetings during COVID, right? That was one of the things that it was just trustee meetings initially, and then you've added additional.
And it wasn't COVID based, it was transparency based. So as a trustee, even if I wanted to know what happened in other meetings, they weren't recorded and kept long term. So when I sat there as a trustee, I also realized as a resident, I don't know what's happening, or it just said somebody spoke, but you didn't know what they said. So we made it where at the time we were doing some COVID where they were on Zoom anyway. So we started recording. But then when it went after COVID, we decided to continue and we record everything. I also made everybody say their Pledge of Allegiance at every meeting now. So it's like, it used to be just a board meeting. I thought that was strange. So there were little tweaks that we made that it's funny. It feels like they've been doing them forever. Like yesterday, somebody asked about why did something happen, and it was a zoning board of appeals. I was able to give them a link to something from 2 years ago and say, here, watch this. So they don't have to just rely on my interpretation of it. They can watch it themselves.
Right.
And that is so helpful.
Yeah.
We use that on a weekly basis.
Definitely. And in 2024, we'll have a newly designed newsletter, which is really, I think it'll be more visual, more pictures, more graphics, and things that will capture your attention. And then, that kind of sits around the house for a while too, because it's a quarterly magazine. And so I think that's, we're looking forward to doing that. And it's going to double in size. I think we had 4 pages before, and now we'll do 8. I think that's right.
That was one of the things that I'll give you credit for too. I tend to give department heads tasks where I say, do this and do it cheaper. I said to Carrie, I want this to look up to date. I mean, it's a brand. What we put out there is our brand, and we're Bloomfield Township. We're a high-end brand. I said, Carrie, I want a high-end brand. I want it to look amazing. Oh, and I'd love it to be cheaper. And you do. You find it. And with Phil, I
take all the credit. My team is really my team's the one. They're the ones doing all the work. So.
Yeah. Well, I remember giving the police the charge of, okay, we're not getting money for our roads, so you need to find a way to get these trucks from ruining our roads. And then, Officer Shoemaker, he's now promoted, but at the time was Officer Shoemaker. He spearheaded putting in our weigh station at the DPW. That's something that we added under this administration too, to get those large scale trucks off the road.
Oh, I didn't realize it was that new.
Yeah, we added it in 21.
And then final pet project of yours is the app.
Yes.
Will be coming.
Yes. Is it soon?
I think so. I think we're going to be doing actually some focus groups to make sure that our older residents are comfortable with the way that it's been designed and what they're looking for. So we'll do 2 focus groups, hopefully in January or early February. And then at that point, I think it'll be pretty much ready to go. And it'll continue to evolve. So it's not just that, the initial basic services that, reporting an incident or connecting to some of our content, it'll continue to evolve, just like all new media evolves. So,
and we're going to have that app is a big one that you're undertaking, your team. That's going to be everything from what's going on here to notifications. And then we also have a code red that we're installing here. They have it through the county, but a lot of people don't know about it. So we have the app, which is everybody should get on, whether you live here, whether you work here, whether you're just curious. That's going to give everybody information. And then code red is something that's a geotag, where if, gosh forbid, something bad is happening, it will geotag everybody in the area and send out an immediate alert, like an Amber Alert comes through.
Right.
So that will be an immediate one. So now we'll have safety covered through an app, and then even better, we have safety and information here too with you. Yeah. And you do have patience with CarPlay was our big delay. People don't realize people would reach out. You said we were going to have this app, and you were ready. Your team was ready. Right. We just have to wait for all of the
all the text. It's never as easy as you think it might be. So it all takes preparation and planning, and the technology just, it looks easy, but it does take a lot more.
And it'll evolve while people give us information through the focus groups. And I love that you're doing one with seniors too. A lot of people just write off people above a certain age and say, well, they won't do it. My mom's 85, loves her iPad and loves her apps. She doesn't go online. She loves her apps. So this is something that I love, that you guys appreciate that. And you're reaching out specifically to that group too. So thank you.
Well, we've got a terrific senior center, and so we got to make sure that they're taken care of.
Right.
I think that's all we have for today. We've gone 24 minutes. And so is there anything else that you'd want to share with anybody?
I just want to say thank you so much to fellow coworkers as well as fellow residents for having your patience and grace to let this administration get through COVID, and then also get through all of the rebuilding that we wanted to do. It feels like there's peace in the land, and I love that. It's nice to have what we have here. And I hope that everybody has a wonderful holiday season and stays safe and healthy. And we'll see you soon.
Thanks, Dani.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, Happy New Year, everybody. And we hope to see you Thursday at Coffee and Cookies. And we'll see you next year.
Thank you.